Other interesting cultural news, you have Jimmy Fallon culturally canceled by his own staff. Oh, golly, who would have guessed it? Now, he's famously known as kind of the goofy talk show host, which, again, I think it's a late night host. I don't have cable TV, and I don't really follow too many of those folks, to be honest, unless when I need to see some additional information and want to see what's their perspective on an issue, usually to show that they're wrong, but, they're right perhaps one time, allegedly. Maybe I'll find that use case someday. He was also famous for hosting Trump when Trump was running for office, and I think, culturally speaking, that's when a lot of people start to scrutinize him more, because, again, everyone who gave Trump a platform, quote-unquote, or even made him look like he wasn't the biggest monster in history, they've all been, socially ostracized by the mainstream media. They've been, in some cases, prosecuted. So it'll be interesting to see, is that a variable in why these things are bubbling to the surface all of a sudden? Now, apparently, there's an article in Rolling Stone, which somehow still exists. Now, the story featured 16 former staffers that claimed he came to work and was sometimes inebriated, and he was accused of being under the influence of alcohol and exhibiting erratic behavior. And they also described the workplace sometimes as quote-unquote glum. And it looks like 2 employees alleged that Fallon scolded a crew member who was holding cue cards during a taping of a show with Jerry Seinfeld, calling it quote-unquote uncomfortable. Now, part of me can't help but think some of these people are just mentally weak in terms of every 2 days we hear about someone saying, oh man, work is too hard. A couple months ago, we saw an instance where there was a Starbucks employee crying because he had to make orders that were complicated. And they were overwhelmed, working an 8-hour work shift, which is pathetic. You're overwhelmed by an 8-hour work shift? I work 105 hours a week. My grandpa worked in an aluminum foundry for nonstop. He had Christmas off, Thanksgiving off. He did that for years. He never even complained once. Which, there's something to be said about the silent man, which I hope comes back culturally speaking. But I can't help but see the United States is producing more and more weak people mentally as well as physically. But let's dive deeper, or a little bit deeper, to see if there's perhaps some merit behind this. Now, you had 2 of them saying, oh yeah, he scolded a crew member for handling the cue cards wrong. Now, when they asked Seinfeld for a comment, or Jerry, he said, quote, this is all so stupid. I teased Jimmy about a flub, and we all had a fun laugh, and about how rarely Jimmy is thrown off. It was not uncomfortable at all. Jimmy and I occasionally recall it and laugh. Idiotic twisting of events, unquote. Again, that's from Jerry Seinfeld, one of the goats of stand-up. And I would also argue, comedic writings as well, of course, with the iconic hit series Seinfeld. So it looks like he came to work, and again, obviously coming to work inebriated, that's not appropriate, so I agree with that. Well, no, mostly. It's one of those instances where, I guess in the United States, what role could you have where you could come to work buzzed or inebriated? I guess Saturday Night Live, but they're kind of known for their debauchery, so to say. But again, it's interesting that, let me know in the comments, do you think, and it's funny how, these late night hosts will spend years culturally canceling other people, then it'll sometimes happen to themselves. Why do you think Jimmy's getting canceled all of a sudden? Is it just a coincidence that these employees are all upset? Is it part of a grand plan? Is there a conspiracy? I don't know. But it is interesting to see just more and more people complain in America about some things as simple as, oh yeah, he scolded me for holding the cue card wrong. It's like, really? I don't know. But that's just me. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, taking the time to like and comment greatly help out the video with the algorithm. Feedback is always appreciated. Love hearing about your experiences, how you can make the show better together. Also, lastly, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.